I let my sister-in-law have a baby shower at my house, but she tried to kick me out of my own home during the party to impress her rich friend. I told her husband, and it led to their divorce. Now she is raising the child alone. I am 32 and have been married for 3 years. My husband is 35, and we have been together for 5 years, but he is currently living away from home for work. We have a long-distance relationship that my husband comes home on weekends to spend time together. We have our own house, which we bought a couple months ago, just before he left. The house is very beautiful, close to my parents' house, so it's convenient for me to visit them and for them to visit me. The house is quite large, and I like that because even though I live alone, I like the feeling of space. Overall, we have a beautiful house in a good neighborhood, and I enjoy living here. When we had our housewarming party, we received many compliments of all the guests. My friend Carrie, 32, liked the house the most. She couldn't stop admiring it. We're not particularly close, but we've always been on good terms. A couple of weeks ago, she asked if she could have her baby shower at my house, and I agreed without hesitation, even though we're not close. She was pregnant, and I didn't want to turn her down. Besides, I spend a lot of time alone anyway, and I thought it would be nice to meet new people and have a change of scenery. I even took the day off work. Carrie explained that she wanted to have the party at my place because she didn't want to spend a lot of money on renting a venue, especially when I have such a beautiful home. Her own house is nice, but it's not as beautiful and it's smaller. I think her compliments had such an effect on me that I couldn't refuse. And to be honest, there was no reason to refuse because she had always been kind to me. I couldn't imagine what would happen next because even during the preparations, she didn't hint that I wasn't a particularly welcome guest at this party. I was involved in the planning, and she came to see me almost every day for the last 2 weeks to discuss the menu, catering, and decorations. I was involved in the organization and was even looking forward to the event. I thought it would help us get closer, but how wrong I was. On the day of the event, I helped the decorator decorate the house about an hour before the guests arrived. Carrie arrived 45 minutes before the start and thanked me for everything. She behaved completely normally, like a friend, but 15 minutes before the guests arrived, she suddenly asked where I was going to spend the next couple of hours. I was stunned and decided it was a joke because her baby shower was going to be at my house. I was sure I would be at the party. I even dressed appropriately and bought her a gift. I asked if she was joking, and she said no with a serious face. She gave several perfectly logical arguments that I hadn't thought of because I was busy helping. Carrie said that I hadn't received an invitation and wasn't on the guest list. And honestly, I noticed that. But I didn't think much of it because I took it for granted that I would be invited and be part of the event. I helped organize it and allowed her to hold it at my place for free. I think anyone in my place would have thought the same, especially since we didn't have a bad relationship. Why would I think I wasn't invited? I told her this, and she replied that she was sorry for the misunderstanding, but she thought I was just helping her as a professional, which didn't make sense at all, because I'm not an event planner. I work at a bank, and it has nothing to do with my profession. In short, I felt very hurt, and I think it showed on my face. After a while, she said she didn't want to argue with me because it wasn't the time for arguments, and she didn't want to get nervous because she was pregnant. So she said I had to leave because this event was only for close relatives and friends. That is a very limited circle. And unfortunately, I was not part of that circle. She asked me to leave before the guests arrived so as not to cause a scene because this argument was upsetting her. I was very angry, left the room, and immediately decided to call my husband and complain about what his sister had done. I was in the yard because I didn't know where else to go. I tried to call my husband, but he was busy at work and didn't answer, only texted me. I was so angry that I decided to do something unusual and call her husband. Carrie Jam's husband is 33 years old and has been married to her for 4 years, not 2. I didn't talk to him much, but he is usually a quiet and reserved person. After she told me to leave my own home, I was very upset and wanted to get revenge on her. So I called him and told him everything. He listened to me and was silent for a long time. After I finished talking, I apologized to him for telling him all this, but I was very upset by her attitude, and since I couldn't talk to her without upsetting a pregnant woman, I decided to tell him so that he could talk to her later. He apologized for her, and I felt a little better. Then he said that I didn't need to leave my house, that it would be ridiculous, and that he was coming over. I just had to wait for him to arrive because he didn't want Carrie and me to start fighting and get upset. That seemed reasonable to me. I waited 15 minutes, and Jim arrived before the first guests did. Carrie was shocked when she saw him, and as soon as I heard the doorbell ring, I went back inside. The 3 of us stood in the living room, and Jim said that of course I could stay for the baby shower and didn't have to leave. Carrie tried to object, but he gave her a stern look, and she fell silent. She gave me dirty looks all evening, and I decided that I would never speak to her again. I even thought about canceling the party, but I didn't because I had put a lot of effort into preparing for it and didn't want it all to go to waste. Besides, after Jim arrived, I didn't feel like canceling anything, so I decided to just get through the evening and then stop talking to Carrie. I maintain my dignity and composure, but I can't say the same about her after the baby shower. Jim apologized again for everything, and Carrie didn't even look at me. He apologized for that too, because I got a lot of negativity from her. She thought I shouldn't have been at the party and that I had just barged in. It was unpleasant too. Even watch, but at least it was over. And when they left, I finally called my husband and told him everything in detail. He was furious and wanted to talk to his sister, but I asked him not to do so that evening because it would only make the situation worse and lead to new arguments, and I didn't want that at all. I just wanted peace, but it seems that I won't get it because the next morning my in-laws called me, and they were very angry. They said that after the baby shower, when Carrie and her husband returned home, they had a huge argument because I told Jim everything. And now he had decided to leave and was refusing to talk to Carrie or anyone else in her family, including my in-laws. This was unexpected because, as far as we knew, Jim had an excellent relationship with his wife's family. Their parents were old friends, but after the argument, his family blocked them on social media and everywhere else. I didn't understand what I had to do with it, but my in-laws and Carrie thought that if I had just kept quiet and done as Carrie told me, none of this would have happened. I was shocked that they were, so I lost my temper and said that I wasn't going to take the blame because I knew perfectly well that I wasn't to blame. Carrie behaved disgustingly because I generously allowed her to have a party at my house for free, and instead of being grateful, she decided to humiliate me by saying that I couldn't attend the event in my own home because, in her opinion, I wasn't close enough to the family. And I, mind you, am her brother. She also told them that if my husband had been home, she wouldn't have dared to behave that way. I don't regret telling her husband because he was the only reasonable person in this situation. And if he decided he'd had enough and wanted to leave, I'm sure he's doing the right thing because I trust his judgment. I'm not going to fix anything because I don't think I'm at fault. And I don't think Jim is doing anything wrong. And if he wants a divorce, I will support him. I'm not going to ask him for anything. So if my in-laws call me to talk to him and smooth things over, they're going to be disappointed because I'm not going to do that. After that, I hung up, and we haven't spoken since. Well, they're trying their best to get me to talk to him. It's been 2 days, and I haven't blocked them yet. But I'm thinking about it because they keep saying that all the disagreements are between me and Carrie, and I shouldn't have involved her husband. I don't understand where they got that idea from. Even if it is between me and Carrie, I decided to tell her husband about it myself. He is also a member of the family, and I decided he should know. I don't think I did anything wrong by telling him, because she treated me badly. I thought her husband should know how she was behaving, because he's a reasonable person and can influence her. They're trying their best to turn the situation around and make me feel guilty, but they're in for a surprise. I don't feel sorry at all that her husband left her. And they keep saying that because of my decision, her future child may grow up without a father. I think that's going too far, but that's how they present it, and I don't even know what to say to that. The only reason I haven't blocked them yet is because their words make me doubt myself, even though my husband thin. They have a normal life, and maybe they can't afford to live lavishly, but I think they're doing pretty well. Jam is a real estate agent, and Carrie currently works at a marketing firm, but they plan to start their own business after the baby is born. Moreover, she should be saving money, not spending it. Their life is comfortable, but not rich, and that's perfectly normal. I don't think it should concern anyone, and Carrie certainly doesn't need to impress anyone. Jim tried to explain this to her many times, but his words meant nothing to her, and she continued to do strange things to impress those around her. This had caused them a lot of problems in recent years. Jim always turned a blind eye to it because he loved her very much. But in recent months, it had become increasingly difficult for him to put up with it because now he had to think about the future of their child. What if she continued to spend money as if it grew on trees? They couldn't afford the lifestyle she wanted. Carrie continued to buy things without even consulting her husband, and he got tired of it. They argued too often about such things, and after the argument, after Babi Shah, Rajim decided he couldn't take it anymore and left. He told me that even if I hadn't called him that day, given the way their marriage was going, he would have made that decision sooner or later. So I shouldn't feel guilty about what I did. I talked about it with my husband, and he said that although he felt sorry for Carrie, he couldn't say it was completely unfair. We weren't friends with Jim, but we knew he was a good husband to Carrie, and if he decided to leave, then he had thought it through carefully. I feel sorry for Carrie too, because I understand that it's not easy for her right now, especially during her pregnancy. But to be honest, she brought this on herself. I don't understand how a grown woman can be so upset about what some empty-headed, gossiping friends think about her life. She's over 30. I think it's time for her to leave all these schoolyard issues in the past. I hope they can talk and figure out what to do next. In any case, I'm not going to get involved in all this and will try to stay away from these people because they have enough problems of their own. I'm going to block both Carrie and my in-laws because I don't think I have anything to say to them at the moment. I hope they can work things out and maybe the divorce will be called off, or maybe not. I don't know what will happen with them because even though Jim has already announced the divorce. He was very upset when we talked. I got the impression that he still wants to work things out and give Carrie a chance. But she is so stubborn that it is very difficult for him to do so. This may be a controversial opinion, but I think they should at least try to work things out. Maybe she should see a psychologist, because it's not normal to behave like that at 30. I would like them to work things out for the sake of their child. Growing up in a family with divorced parents is very difficult, and I wouldn't want that for my future niece or nephew. I'll keep you posted, but for now, I'm just going to stay out of it and hope for the best, and my husband will do the same. We'll see each other this weekend because he's coming home, but I don't think he'll be visiting his parents this time. I'm just glad I don't have anything to blame myself for anymore. My husband came back a couple of hours ago, and we talked. He told me that he had been in touch with Jim and that they had been talking for the last couple of days. Jim made it clear that if Carrie apologizes to him for everything and agrees to go to therapy, he is willing to give their marriage a second chance. My husband is now trying to convey this to his sister, but he hasn't heard back from her yet, and his parents told him that she is simply avoiding contact with anyone because she is very upset and needs to be alone. So apparently, everyone is giving her the space she needs right now. I don't know what decision she will make, but I hope it will be a wise one. As for the last post here, people called me selfish because, in their opinion, my husband and I were greedy and didn't help Jim and Carrie. First of all, I don't even know how many of you came to that conclusion, but let me clarify, we bought this house at a good price, which is why we were able to afford it. If we couldn't afford it, we wouldn't have bought it. Second, Jim and Carrie are in a pretty stable financial situation, and I don't think they would like it if we treated them as if they needed our charity. Besides, my husband and I are in about the same financial situation as they are, so I don't see why they need our help or vice versa. It's just weird. But since some of you brought it up, I thought I should explain the situation. Some of you also didn't like that I said I wanted them to make up and be together because you think Jim deserves better. Maybe he does, but at the end of the day, it's his choice. I don't understand why many of you want to pour out your hatred here, call me names, and call Jim a wimp without even knowing what kind of person he is. They love each other despite all their problems, and they're going to have a child together. I think that's pretty serious. They can't just leave each other and move on given the circumstances. So yes, I wanted and still want them to work things out. I think that's all I wanted to say at the moment. Update 3. Hello. It's been almost 3 weeks since I last wrote here. I just wanted to say that Jim and Carrie have decided to make up and try to work things out. I'm very happy for them, even though Carrie and I still aren't talking. But I heard from my husband that they've decided to go to family therapy for a couple of months and see how things go. They will still live separately, but when the baby is born, they will take care of it together for the first few months, and if everything works out well, they will move back in together. I'm happy for them. I know this isn't what many of you wanted. Most of you wanted Jim to leave Carrie, but he's going to do what he thinks is right for himself, and everyone else will have to accept that.